Yo, how's it going, and Skyline, and welcome to my channel. So, another week has raced by, and another reset to keep us on our toes for Destiny this week. So, we have the new quest continuation from last week, wishing all the best. We also have the new seasonal activity, the Coil. Great fun with plenty of challenges. Clear each section, and the key is survival. The highest score, 150,000, and you get access to the loot room with lots of loot. For our PvP gurus, we have the return of the Iron Banner for the first time of the season. We also have rotation, exotic mission, and legendary dungeon and the weapons that drop. We have the weekly Nightfall and the Nightfall weapon, and moving on to the weekly raid on rotation, and of course, saving the hard to last, the Master Crota himself. And the challenge for the completion is all for one. But before we do, jump in, please hit the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. This really helps me and helps me promote and grow my channel. So let's jump in to see what's happening in Destiny this week. So we have the continuation of the Wishing All the Best quest. Is the season storyline. We have step 8 out of 55. Mars Sov will call upon us when find the next Alchemara egg. But until then, we have to defend the Riven Lair against intruders. So we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow, and we'll have to find another egg. So moving on, Iron Banner has returned. We have 4 new modes. One is called Rift. We have Eruption. We have the usual control. And we have Tribute. So Tribute is a new node for very much like Supremacy, but with a twist. So defeating players of the opposing team drop crests. Those crests have to be deposited at a tribute station and earn points. The more crests you earn sets off a hunt, and during the hunt stage, a special tribute station that rewards bonus points. But that special station is protected by who knows what. Also, the banner has a new emblem and a shader, and a brand new weapon for the season. This is called the Lethal Abundance. It's a strand auto rifle with high impact, and also the returning legacy weapons from previous seasons. Also, we have the returning armor set called the Iron Companion. This set was originally released back in Destiny 1 and also Destiny 2 last year. So if you missed out for this ornament set, it's definitely worth the grind for your Iron Banana this season. Okay, moving on, we have the weekly rotation exotic mission. The mission this week is Presage, and the exotic that drop is the Dead Man's Tale primary scout rifle. The dungeon is fun with plenty of parkour, so I suggest putting on your Super Mario boots, and has lots of fun sections to clear. The main goal between these sections is to find switches. These switches unlock smaller doors that contain a buff behind. You need to shoot the buff to be able to pass through a containment field. If you run out of buff and go into the containment field, it will kill you. But Once you advance on to eventually to get to the end fight, Locus of the Communion boss, he drops the dead man's tail on completion. Then you can now craft the weapon with a few different perks. Also, it's definitely worth farming the boss. He drops some amazing weapons. They were first made available back in season 17. So if you've missed out and have got the relevant DLC to be able to go into the dungeon, it is definitely worth farming this dungeon. So I've made a table of some of the amazing weapons and good weapons that have also, and some of them still are, meta. The top 3 are PvP. The first one is, the top left, is the beloved sniper rifle. That's amazing in PvP if you're a good sniper. The middle, we have the kinetic Ostringer hand cannon that can be rolled with some very good PvP perks, but also can be used in PvE. We also have the Solar Drang sidearm that can be rolled for PvP, but could come into play this season with sidearms being the meta for barriers. In the middle, we have the Solar Callus mini tool to the left. This is the Superman of the submachine guns. It is solar, it rolls with amazing perks, and it is a must, and it is amazing on any solar character. Also, we have Bump in the Night Stasis rocket launcher. That was one of the meta rocket launchers for Stasis. Still worth crafting and keeping it handy in the vault. Also, bottom left, we have the Remorse kinetic shotgun. In the middle, we have the Denial Void trace rifle. This rolls with some very good perks and is also very good for PvE and any Void character. Last but least, we have the Archglaive, the Nazareth. So this is what I have crossed personally myself, and it is definitely worth getting them. So don't miss out this week for farming them, because it's worth getting. Okay, moving on. The legendary dungeon for this week is the Spire of the Watcher. This is an amazing dungeon, and it is themed around the Vex. The dungeon does have lots of parkour and some very big jumps, but it is definitely worth taking an Eager's Edge in there with you. The dungeon does contain 2 secret chests, and the whole dungeon mechanics revolve around switches and wires. So, by defeating a Minotaur at the start, spawns a Vex milk puddle that gives you a buff that allows you to shoot specific switches. And then that creates a path via wires to the next switch. But remember, that buff is on for a very limited time. So once you find the next switch and you switch that on, and it's the correct switch, that path will light up blue. Also, the buff that you have by continuously moving along and hitting a switch, it also increases your timer. So you do need to be pretty quick on this on both sides. And also, once both sides are done and correct, you're able to do damage to the bosses. The last boss is called Percy, and he drops an exotic solar heavy bow called the Irachi. Also throughout the dungeon there is legendary weapons and armor, and leaving the best to last, the legendary cowboy ornament hat. This was meta ornament for previous seasons. Right, moving on to this week's weekly Nightfall. We have the lovely or the awful birthplace of the Vile. It's quite a longish Nightfall, and the boss room is definitely a contender. Lots of ads spawning and nowhere to hide. And it's even worse on a Grandmaster. But with the right builds like Strand, you'll breeze your way through this season. The weapon for this week is the solar bow from last season. It has some amazing perks, and it's called the Pre-Astyanax. It's a solar bow, so it's worth taking a look and having a go at the Nightfall so that you're ready for when the Grandmasters come out to get the Adept. So good luck. This week's raid on rotation is the amazing Garden of Salvation, and this is the home for the Divinity Quest. The raid has plenty of parkour and a theme around Vex confluxes. Has some amazing weapons to grind for, but sadly not craftable as yet. But the Divinity Quest can be challenging. If you're with a group that doesn't know the raid, I recommend severely to have a go with people that you know, and definitely watch a guide before attempting, because if you leave the raid you will have to restart the whole raid again, unless you leave somebody in there that you know that does not leave the instance. If everybody leaves that instance, you lose your Divinity Quest, so it means you have to restart again. So, last but not least, and the hardest, I've saved for last, it is our amazing Mr. Crota himself. The Master Challenge is called All for One. This is easy to do with a coordinated team. Basically, the sword bearers need to take Crota's overshield in one go. And this isn't hard. You can use 2 or 3 swords. It's entirely up to you. But you need to make sure the people get enlightened for the oversoul and obviously for the swords. My advice, do the sword combo in different order, because one cancels out the heavy from the other. Definitely you need well locks, is a must, to be honest, more the merrier. It is really helpful if you have a warlock to run the heavy shotgun, tractor, cannon to debuff the boss, especially when they hit him with the swords, and also run a fusion rifle to do the oversoul as well. So it's a lot easier to have one person as the warlock to do those both roles, and the rest of the guys are able to do a full DPS phase. Okay, guys and girls, that is everything for Destiny this week. I hope you've enjoyed the content, and please hit the subscribe button. That helps me out so much by helping my channel grow. Also, if you'd like to see different content, please make a comment e.g. raids, grandmasters, builds, anything like that. Also, I'm going to do a shout out for my clan, We Slap Screebs, because my clan officer, Filthy Chorizo, is always moaning a bucketful because I'm never giving him a shout out. So there you go, Chorizo, there's your shout out. And also a big up for the rest of the guys in my clan and my other officer, Kai. Okay, everyone, have a great week, and I'll be streaming over on Twitch most nights, and I'll catch up with everyone soon. Laters.